Hello, and welcome to Bergen Stages Television, our entertainment magazine here at Bergen Community College. I'm Jim Bumgardner, your host. Currently at Bergen Stages here at the college, we are in rehearsal for a dark comedy by Tracy Letts called August Osage County. And how wonderful it is to have two of the actors from the show, Sean Kane and Kim Borsley. Welcome to the show, Kim and Sean.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Before we get to talking about August Osage County, which we could probably talk about for years, just let the audience know a little bit about you. Kim, I know you have a great history here at the college, so give us a little background of how you got to Bergen.
I was a student here back in, I want to say 92 through 95. And it was theater programs that I was involved with and working with Mary. And did a number of shows with her, and then of course school finishes and you disappear and go away for a while, and life went on, and I stopped acting for a good 12 years and reconnected with Mary in 2012 with a summer production of Midsummer Night's Dream. And so I did that with her, and I got to work again with her 2 years ago on Other People's Money. And then when the postcard arrived with August Osage County, I emailed her. I'm like, Mary, are you the director? I want to come and audition.
Oh, cool.
And that's what I did.
Cool. And I love the fact, a lot of times we forget here at Bergen that we do love our alums to come back. We love because we're a community college, we love keeping embracing you. And the fact that you went on, had a life, family, all that kind of stuff is incredible to have you back. So we'll talk about that in a second. Sean?
Yes, what would you like? You were in Midsummer Night's Dream with Mary? Oh my goodness, so was I. That's incredible. I work here at the college, and I had taken a break also. I didn't go to school here, but
You're a Ramapo boy. Yes,
I am a Ramapo one.
Good.
I got both of my degrees there. But I had taken a break from acting, and back in 2002, 2003, they were doing Arsenic and Old Lace here, and I auditioned for that.
Was
and
that your first one?
Yes, it was.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea.
It was nerve-wracking. I was shaking at the audition, but got the part of the last victim,
That's right.
the doctor, and basically I've done, about 5 or 6 shows since then here.
Easily. Listing them, I can...
Cabaret, The Heiress, Kiss Me Kate, Midsummer Night's Dream.
Right.
The list goes on.
The list does
on.
go on.
Yeah.
And
besides that, I also do community theater with the Radburn Players over in Fairlawn.
And they keep you quite busy.
And I help build their sets. And just moving along.
So you guys, it's great that I got your comebacks. I got, when you came back to the college. But Sean and I have a past too on Hilton Head Island, but
that's
missed
true.
each other. We're like 2 degrees of our separation.
We actually worked for sister companies.
That's right, Tricom Productions.
And I was with USAV.
That's right, and we both worked at Hilton Head Playhouse, but at separate times. So
in the old Playhouse.
Now, were you an actor at Ramapo? Did you do theater at Ramapo College?
I started off as a biology major, and then switched over to general, and then wound up a theater major. Fine arts theater.
Fine arts theater, critical thinking.
Yes.
Yeah. And were you a theater major here?
Yeah.
And did you continue after you finished Bergen? So you started your family, you work, you're like a real person. You have a real job and doing all that kind of stuff.
That's it.
Is it, just to kind of talk about, is it difficult to balance this now with the theater and a real world job, or is it work here at the college?
It's a little bit of a difficulty. The kids are older now, so it is easier to be able to leave them on their own. Being a single mom, I do have to kind of keep an eye out on what's the best thing for them. So they've been really understanding, and the fact that there's 2 of them, it's great because they can just keep an eye on each other, and I'm always checking on them with the phone, and so they're good with it. But I can tell when it starts to get to be too much just by the way they behave with me.
One show every once in a while as opposed to
that's
one
about
a
it.
semester.
I do like
exhausting.
once a year, I want to say,
which is great.
Right around this time, every year I seem to do something.
But it's been with us, and we're fortunate to have that. Or have you snuck out and done
on the
something
outside
else?
too. Not that much. The last thing I did before this was Our Town with the Leonia Players Guild. Yes,
good.
And my daughter was in that too.
So nice. Well, that's kind of fun to make a family thing.
It was the first time we got to perform together, so I was really excited about that.
Oh, cool, great. And they're a great.
Yeah. It was a great show.
And you've done, other than Radburn, you've done a few others.
I did Nutley Little Theater.
Nutley,
I did Dover Little Theater. I did down by Maywood. I can't remember the name of the play group that, there's so many community theaters that now share space. Like I did Old Library Theater,
Right.
Clue the Musical, and they have two other
theater
outfits
companies
in
use
there.
that. Yeah. So it's like, and you don't know who's there when you walk out the door. So again, you guys are returning actors to the stage, and so you're working with a lot of young 18, 19-year-old actors. What is that like? And I think it's great. I think as we get into the particulars about this show, it's great having our older characters played by more mature actors to kind of give that level. Do you find that too? Am I just kind of...
I totally agree. I totally agree. My daughter's involved in a theater troupe over in Glen Rock, and usually when they do their shows, it's all the kids playing the roles. But she's recently had the experience of having adults being brought in to play the older roles. And I think you need that dynamic. I think it's not only good for the younger children, because it gives them the opportunity to see how an older person performs, but having that being given to them, it is a learning experience. It's not just, oh, you're going to play with an older person. You're going to learn from that.
Yeah.
You're going to learn from that.
It's playing tennis with somebody better than you
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Keep going. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt.
Yeah, no,
You-
no.
you did-
That's when I had her doing Our Town with us. It was funny because I auditioned for it, and she was supposed to be going away to summer camp. And then I asked the director, I'm like, when are the shows actually going to happen? She's like, oh, we're just auditioning early. I'm like, I'm bringing my daughter in. Because I was like, this would be a great experience. And it was her first experience to be able to perform with adults playing adult roles.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that really did lend itself to her growing and learning her craft.
That's cool.
So,
Sean,
Well, what's amazing that I find is, and it happens every show I do here, is you have some really good theater majors that are very serious about their art, and you can see that in the way they handle themselves during rehearsal time and everything else. And then you have other students that are from other degree programs that kind of, some of them all of a sudden are like, I'm not going to be able to keep up with this, and others that get the bug, and granted,
like
they may
you,
not
starting
change,
out
may-
as a bio
Yeah.
major, and then suddenly,
and you never know where it's going to take you, but you also get to watch them blossom, and we get to learn from them too, because some of these students is like they have a lot of shows under their belt, and
But so do you guys. I mean, and do you feel like you mentor? You feel like you're mentoring them as well as you go along, or do they seem to talk to you and ask you questions? Or, of course, your parts are so you're so involved in the rehearsal process. I don't know if that.
I don't necessarily feel like they might come out and say it, but I do feel that some of them might be benefiting from our experience, just through osmosis, so to speak.
They're there, and they're watching you. They're watching
Yeah.
you how the discipline of not just the lines and that sort of thing, but being at rehearsal on time, being prepared. I think they watch that happen from, and it's great to show that example, whether they sit down and talk about it or not. The fact that you are showing that, that's cool. I think we're so fortunate to have you guys here, and that you have the time to do it. And I know it's asking a lot to give up evenings and weekends to rehearse.
Well, that's one of the big things about doing shows here at Bergen. If you're doing community theater, usually, if you're lucky, you get 2 months of rehearsal time, and then the show's done. Whereas here, we started rehearsals in September,
This one we had auditions.
and
yeah,
the show
third week of
isn't until
September.
December.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, there's a long span of time. So it is very taxing on relationships at home, and getting things done. It's like I have to go rake the leaves.
Yeah. Fall's coming. We better winterize the house. Yeah. And I think you're right. I think there's the time that you're spending having to do this that you didn't expect to. But not all. We don't always have the luxury. Eris, we only had 6 weeks to put that up. So
that's
it just
right.
depends on the show and how it fits into the season that you have this rehearsal period there that you can work on.
I mean, this is a long rehearsal period, there's no doubt about it, but I think that Mary was smart in the sense that she started it early in anticipation of problems like with the weather and with,
never know.
And cast changing.
holidays, and cast changes, holy moly.
Yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
someone realizes that they can't handle the material, they can't handle the schedule, that you have to build that into that rehearsal schedule. And this being a 3-act play has a longer rehearsal schedule because it's a little longer play that you work on. Now, let me just kind of jump back to Midsummer Night's Dream because you both worked on that. How did you both get involved in that? That's Mary's company. I think it's now kind of on hiatus right now,
Oh, okay.
The Illustrious.
How
But
did you get
involved? Just Mary called? Or
Well, no, I once my divorce happened, I started reconnecting with my friends from the past, including theater friends, and we got a whole group of people together to come here to one of Mary's young playwrights, right?
Yes,
so we
yes,
came
yes.
and we surprised her, and it was just before she was going to hold auditions for the show. So she started talking about it. I'm like, Midsummer, that's my favorite Shakespeare play. I'm going to go and audition. So
And
I
it was
did.
great, and we got to bring it here. So not only did
Yeah.
you do it up in Warwick, is that right?
Yeah, Sugarloaf.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But we got to bring it here. How did you get involved with that?
Well, Mary, had asked me if
family
I would
affair for him.
audition. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Well, yeah. I auditioned for it, and then my son and my daughter-in-law, auditioned also. So we all three got to be in the same show, and their dog was going to be in it, but it was a little bit much. He's more of a horse than a dog anyway. But it was great to work with them, and they actually met through theater in high school.
Oh, cool.
So it was
cool.
reconnecting with their roots too. So it was a lot of fun.
Before we get into talking about the show itself, what advice now, since we've been talking about younger actors, what advice would you have to tell them about this business and about the direction you took, that you don't necessarily have to say, yes, I'm going to run to Broadway or off Broadway or off Broadway, but I'm okay with doing some community theaters and having a life. Is there?
Well, I mean, it's like anything else. The more you do it, the better. I used to be terrified at learning my lines. And now they kind of come second nature a lot of times because you get involved in the character. But just doing any kind of performance will assist, whether it's improv, whether it's community theater, whether it's, there's so many little video programs and stuff like that. And there you get a chance to kind of do things twice, three times. But, I mean, Broadway is a difficult nut to crack.
It is.
You have to really expand yourself and be ready to do anything at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. And theaters out there, there's plenty to do if you want. And I think you're right. I think lines get easier, but I think it's because you've been in so many things that you keep that brain work happening. I think I know that it's been years since I've done anything. I don't know if I can memorize a line, let alone a whole play. So and so I think keeping it up, whether it's community theater of doing Our Town or something like that. Any advice you have for the youngins out there that are thinking about being a theater major, about theater out there?
Well, it is. I mean, if it's something that's going to be a career choice, you're really going to have to work at it. I mean, I enjoy it in the community aspect. I don't think I could ever have the chutzpah to get out there and try to make it a career. I just think going out and doing it for enjoyment is enough for me. If you're going to do it, devote yourself to it. Really hone your craft and take what the directors give you.
What do you mean by that? I think that's great advice.
I think a lot of actors will hear what the director says and kind of try to twist it around and change it to their benefit. And I'm like, the director is the one directing, you're not. So what they say goes. All right, listen to them and do what they say.
So they come in with this preconceived way of doing it so that it's hard to break that.
Yeah, it can be, it's very frustrating.
But one of the good things about a lot of directors I've worked with is you can, have input.
Absolutely.
And they may, say, okay, let's try it that way in rehearsals. But
Absolutely.
at the same time,
You don't want an actor that's going to sit there and butt heads with you
Yes.
every time you open your mouth. I mean, it doesn't make for an easygoing show.
It's a collaboration,
Right.
but still the director has kind
Final
of
say.
the final say. It's their vision.
Even though, and one of the problems I've run into in the past is you get actors that once the show opens, decide to change it, and it's
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
and because they think they're right.
and they don't work there again, I'm sure.
Yes.
That's it. But that's great advice. It's like, come in, do your homework, but listen to the director. I think this is great advice to give a young actor, saying, do this work, get to rehearsal on time, and keep your mind and ears open and try things. I think a lot of times they're afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
That sometimes rehearsal is performance, and it's like, no, it's not a performance time. It's time to make those mistakes. This is where you want to do it, right? Am I?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
And that's another thing about learning your lines early is the fact that then you can experiment. Then you can open up and really kind of get out there, especially some of the characters we have in this show, which we'll get into later, I'm sure. They're not, well, they are real, but they're kind of out there.
They've got a lot going on,
Yes.
and there's a lot to
Definitely.
discover. And if
Yes.
you're still worried about lines until opening night, you're never going to discover those nuances and those very interesting things. Because I think these are great characters, as we'll talk about in a second. So good. So I think that's great advice. Any other thing about being an actor, being a rehearsal?
Being on time.
Being on time.
Amen.
God.
It's the same thing, and I think that transfers into the business world.
Yes.
I mean, you both work. You have real jobs, and you know what you do at a rehearsal is also what you're going to be doing on the job. And you're not going to keep that job if you keep coming in late and you're not ready to go to work when you get there, kind of thing. So I think
as you well know, stage managers, assistant stage managers, directors, producers, they all talk to each other. And if you're a pain in the butt at one of your shows, everybody knows that you're a pain and they don't want to work with you.
First impressions count.
It does.
Absolutely.
And it's a small world. It's a small community that we all know that we do talk to each other. And we also help each other out saying, oh, did you know they're casting something over here? Or you find out information about that.
Most of my roles, I've had people say, oh, I know somebody to fit that part. And I did a show in New York, and Mae Frankenberg got me the part by saying, I know somebody that would be perfect for that. So they called me in, I auditioned, but it's all who you know and
the reputation that you have, because you can't fix that reputation, and once you have it, it
it
follows
sticks.
you along. So and it even starts now at a college age, going through that. And did you do theater here? When you were here in college, what kind of shows did you do?
Well, it's all Mary shows, honestly. I did Hay Fever, Chicago, Les Liaisons Dangereuses, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. What else? Mad Woman of Chaillot.
Great. We're going to come back to what you've done here. We're going to take a short break. It's been great. Sean and Kim, it's so terrific to talk about a little history there. We're going to come right back and talk about August Osage County and what your characters are up to in this place. So come right back.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Hello and welcome back to Bergen Stages Television. I'm Jim Bumgardner, your host. Today we've been talking to Kim Borsey and Sean Kane, our two great actors from August Osage County, our upcoming production here at Bergen Community College. Kim, I'm sorry we interrupted before the break of the shows you've done. Mad Woman of Shiloh you did here.
Yeah, Mad Woman of Chaillot, Les Liaisons Dangereuses, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Chicago, and Hay Fever.
Oh my gosh,
And-
great shows.
Yeah,
We need to revive every single one of them. They're all such great shows, great. And now you're here doing August Osage County. In the beginning here, I called it a dark comedy. Can you explain to our audience, Sean, what a dark comedy is?
oh my God. Well, there are some really funny things that go on, but in the end, it's really dark. It's tragic. It's a
Very
family gone
family
awry.
full of dysfunction and
Full of dysfunction. I don't think there's one
Issues.
that doesn't have an issue or a dysfunction. But I think what makes it funny is, thank God it's their family, not ours. Dark comedy works.
we're on the outside.
It's them over there. It's that guy tripping on
You know
something.
what? My family's not so bad.
You do. And so you laugh because it's like, oh, could all this be in one family?
Yeah.
Could all
Right.
this be? So before we get into the plot of it, can you, Kim, Violet's the lady. Can you give us a little bit about who your character is? And
I'm
her?
Violet Weston. I'm the mother of the family. Yeah, she's got issues.
A few issues. Yeah,
Few issues. I mean, she's got some hidden secrets that she knows about that I think kind of have eaten away at her and made her a nasty, bitter woman. She's a drug addict. And,
It's prescription painkillers that she's
And then
been
some.
taking. Say again?
And then some.
And then some.
some.
Yeah.
A whole list of them. Cancer of the mouth, so that's her excuse for taking all the pills. But she's a bit of a train wreck.
Yeah, she's a train wreck, and she's basically matriarch. The father's not quite in the picture, and we won't talk too much about that. But the fact is that she's had to try to take control of this family, but isn't able to.
handling it well.
And speaking of family,
No, I play Charles, and I married Violet's sister, and I love her, and I love my son, and there's little quirks with this family that I'm just glad we live further away.
but you do come over all the
Yes.
time. You do.
Yeah, we
especially
do
in
visit,
emergencies, yeah.
and I'm very good friends with the father. We go on fishing trips and stuff like that.
And
so-
you've known the family for years. I mean, you guys kind
Right.
of grew up with each other.
Yeah.
It's Osage County, which is in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And what kind of town? It's not a metropolis.
It's a podunk
Yeah.
town.
Good
There's
word.
mention that Violet sends us the Pusquehanna News.
Husker Journal Capital.
That's right.
Okay.
You Tulsa
So-
big shots can keep up with us small town
So
folk.
Matty Faye and I live in Tulsa, and we don't really keep up
So
on...
you're the big town folk, right?
Right.
Right. In Tulsa.
But,
But we know you're close enough, so we must be
Correct.
not too far out of Tulsa.
Right,
But
it's
you
about
have
an
far
hour and a
enough
half.
to
It's an
spend
hour
the
and a half
night.
drive.
Or you have, because you can go back
Yeah.
back and forth, right?
And, we learn later on that, even if we can stay, we usually don't.
You don't. And Violet, you've created a home. What is this home like? I know Alex Diaz and Babalu Productions has designed the set for this. What kind of house has Violet created there?
Well, I don't think it's a very pleasant house. The windows are taped up so that you can't tell day from night.
Is that her choice or
I
husband's choice?
think it's her choice,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
It's just to me, I think it's just kind of a very closed off, depressing environment. I can't wait to see the set.
Yeah.
I can't wait
Yeah,
to
we're
see
in
the
that part.
set.
The set is now. We're in the play takes place in the Saccone Theater, so we're just now loading in the set now. So you're going to have fun on this because it's 3 levels. It's the main stage level with most of the house there, but we get up to the landing for the bedrooms, and then you go up to the attic where the housekeeper lives up in the attic there. So it's a major set there that this drug-addicted matriarch has to stumble through and make her way with family meals and so the premise of the story is what has happened, why are we here at this house at this time?
Well, there's a death in the family, and, at first, the person goes missing, and then you find out.
So everybody gathers to hunt him down? Are they just kind of, so
Well-
you've got 3 daughters,
Correct,
right?
yes.
3 daughters. One lives with you?
No one lives in the area, but
In the
she doesn't
okay,
live with
great.
me. No.
So the 3 daughters bring their extended families with
Correct.
them to do this husband hunting.
I
for
think
you?
it's more or less
The
to come
search.
together to support,
Okay.
and then the news comes and.
But they
it's the
also
steps
know
after that.
about your pill habit.
Oh yes.
Yeah, very much so.
Oh yes.
Everybody knows.
I'll throw a side in there. On opening night on December 2nd, after the show, we have a talk back about drug abuse, prescription drug abuse. And audiences are welcome to come
wow.
and listen to this panel discussion. It'll be like 20 minutes more after the show just to have this panel discussion brought by a group here on campus to talk about that because I think it's a serious issue in
Charles
the county.
can talk about his
So
problems.
Charles can talk about his problem too. Exactly right. So the family has all gotten together, and I think somebody once described this house as a pressure cooker. It's about to go. You just feel it about to blow its top. Why did they say that, Sean? Why is this a pressure cooker? What's going on?
Because each of the little vignettes, each couple has their own things going on, just like in normal life. And the whole culmination of getting them all together and this precious woman here,
Fragile woman. Fragile character.
bringing out some things that, some truths,
Yeah.
and it kind of
A lot of things come to a
collides.
head. So.
And there's a lot of sibling rivalry between because you have 3 daughters, and so there's a little rivalry between them. One's very successful, one's living nearby, and
One sort of dropped out of the picture
yeah,
and came back.
and came
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And so now they have moments together with they're trying to deal with their rivalry, which is awfully strong. Am I right? I've just
Well,
yeah.
it's not really a rivalry,
No.
but they're
Probably
just butting
resentments.
heads.
Resentments.
Yes.
There it is. Yeah,
You
they're
know,
not they're
different
not competing for
reasons.
anything.
Correct.
They're just looking at their lives
Yeah.
and their life choices there.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
And of course, we find out along the way how this family. But it's 3 acts, so there's a lot that goes on in this. There's a
Yes.
lot of story that's involved there that takes us on this journey through looking for this husband. Violet knows, kind of in her heart of hearts, what's actually gone on with this husband.
Right.
And once we find out, the play breaks into a whole different direction. I don't think it's a secret that he dies. But he doesn't just die.
Well, I let that cat out of the bag.
right. It's not that he just dies; it's that he took his own life.
Right.
And so then we get into the funeral. What happens? where does this journey, now that that happens, where does this play take us? Then you become the matriarch, then you become
Right. Yeah.
the money holder, if there is any.
Yeah. I think Violet goes through a period of realization that with him gone, it all falls on her. I think she realizes she's not going to get much help from the kids. So she's struggling with that. She's got a lot of her own demons that she's dealing with. And, some of them come out, and it's just, there's a lot of emotion. I'm telling you, this is the hardest role I've ever done.
Really?
It is the hardest role I've ever done. There have been days that I'm like, I don't even want to look at my script today. I just need to take a break from it because there's so many different levels to her. And in one scene, she can be like totally whacked. Another scene, she's a little bit more pensive. And, she jumps around.
But she's
And-
always
Yeah.
thinking, she's
Yeah.
always on. Her brain's always kind
Absolutely.
of up to, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's a toughie.
Yeah.
She's a toughie. I mean,
But
And a true survivor.
There's a lot
Yes.
of amazing things going on between her and her daughters that, and there's a lot of transitions that really, there aren't a lot of dead spots in this play.
no.
Yeah, for a 3-act play, you think,
Yes.
okay, they're just kind of, it's not overwritten.
No, it's jam-packed.
It really isn't overwritten. There's enough characters to keep it constantly going.
It's like a week
And-
of soap operas stuck into one.
There you go. There you
And
go.
every time you turn a corner, you're going, oh my gosh, I didn't see that one coming. Right? It's
Yeah.
like, oh wow, if you told me 100 years, even up to the very end of the play, you just don't see it coming.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so exciting. So now we're in the rehearsal process, as you said earlier. You're excited about getting on the set. So what have you been doing up to now?
Improvising.
So you've been working
Pretending
in
of
just
levels.
classrooms or whatever rooms you can
Right.
until we can get
or,
on the stage.
okay, tables and chairs here. You just walk through a wall. But it's not there.
And Marina Talley's been doing costume fittings
Yes.
for you. So, and how do the costumes really make you, a lot of people think,
I
now
honestly,
I get it.
I think once you get the set done and you start putting clothes on, you become the character, and it's so much easier. I mean, right now, you're learning the lines, you're learning the blocking, you're getting through it. It won't come to life until you're actually where you need to be, dressed as who you need to be. That's when it comes alive.
It's almost like you look in the mirror and go,
I can't wait. I can't
get
wait.
it. Oh, cool,
Oh,
cool,
I'm
cool.
so excited.
But we still have the journey before we get there. So at this point, you're still in rehearsals. Tonight is the first time you're up on the set
Yeah.
for the first time, working in rehearsal with that, which will be as we had talked before the taping here, Kim and I had talked about that you have to go up a lot of steps to get to that, especially to the landing to where your bedroom is.
Yep.
So that's going to be a major operational
Yeah.
with a drug-addicted, prescription drug-addicted woman going
Right.
up and down steps several
Right.
times. Yeah. So that'll be a journey tonight to
Oh,
begin.
gosh. It'll be a lot of fun.
But like we were talking about earlier, that's why it's so important to know your lines, because once you throw all these other things in there, you can become the character instead of, kind of like still learning your lines. And it just becomes another obstacle towards that.
So do you find this an exciting time in the rehearsal process now that you've gotten all the blocking done, now that you're in the next phase of the rehearsal period?
Because now all of a sudden you start seeing the characters, and you start, and there's, for some people it's incremental changes, and for others it's like, wow, that's,
There's something to be said for coming off book too, because when you're acting, you're holding the book and you're trying to do the lines and you're writing the blocking and you're being interrupted from what you're doing, you're not quite getting it. But
Right.
once you can put that book down and you have the lines in you, things start to happen.
And you're looking at the person
Yeah.
and how they're
it
reacting
really-
to what you're saying.
It changes the dynamic, it changes how you deliver, it changes how you might have interpreted the lines before you had the book down.
Yep.
And I feel like that's the first step into really becoming the character. And then, once you get into the clothes and the costume, that's the final thing.
Yeah.
But it's just such
And
a
there
fun
again, you can't,
process.
like you were saying earlier, you can't come in with that preconceived idea of what you're doing, because you'll miss all this great
Yes.
opportunity of acting and reacting, which acting is reacting, which we say over and over again. But I think it's truly there. So then you'll work on the set for the first time. Then you'll start getting into those technical rehearsals. What do you mean by technical rehearsals, Sean?
Oh, that's when you start adding the sound effects, lighting, all those little parameters that the audience doesn't really know about.
It's the magic.
Yeah, it's the magic that even some actors don't, and that's why it's important that we have them take stagecraft, because all of a sudden they realize how much work goes into lighting the set, making sure the shadows and
Total
everything.
appreciation for everything
the
that made this.
sound, everything.
Which it's Tom O'Neill is doing the sound design for this particular show. Miru Kim is a lighting designer, a new lighting designer. She finished here, got her degree elsewhere, and has come back and is doing the light design for this show. So it's kind of fun to have a few new faces. Alex and Miru, both of them have come back to work on the set and the lighting for this show. Cody Chester, a graduate, is doing the props. So the show opens on December 2nd. So I didn't mean to scare you. And we're excited. It's going to be in the Saccone Theater. You are Violet. You are Charles. Grew up together. It's a wonderful play. Yeah, it's really a great story and a wonderful opportunity for our audience to see this cool show come to life. Guys, this goes by so fast. I cannot thank you enough for being a part of today's show. Break a leg on opening night. We know we'll be there, and we hope that you'll be there to see us too. So come and see August Osage County, opening December 2nd in the Saccone Theater here at Bergen Community College. Thanks for watching.